Good morning, Ronald. How you doing, buddy?
Good morning. Good morning. I am well, thank you.
Man,
Why you
it is.
why you sound a little croaky?
It's been a long few days off of here, and it was a birthday yesterday, so the party was on. I'm a little under, but all is well.
Oh,
a, a little under.
Yeah, but all is well otherwise. Thank you.
You better enjoy this life, You better enjoy this life, son.
Well, the way things are going, you're not sure of tomorrow. You're not sure if there will be a tomorrow
tomorrow.
for you. So you better take advantage of this day.
You're absolutely right about that. You're absolutely right about that, my friend. You're absolutely.
Good. Well, folks, let's get started as we normally do. Let's get started with our prayer. Heavenly Father, for the gift of life, we give you thanks. For our nation, we pray for peace, prosperity, and principle, recovery, and restoration. For ourselves, we pray for wisdom to use your gifts wisely, especially the gift of Junkanoo, so that we may honor you, serve your people, build better communities, and a better Bahamas and a better world. Amen.
Amen. Proud to be Bahamian. What you have this morning? Got anything for us this morning, D. Farrington?
Boy, I this week gone by so fast. I didn't even realize until I wake up this morning and start thinking, what I got. But I would tell you this. I tell you this, right? One of the things I'm excited about is, of course, the opening of the school year that's happening for most schools. It's on Monday, and the anticipation is already in the air. We see a lot of back to school giveaways and everything's happening today, and it's a good feeling to see that everybody is excited to usher the kids and even help them out in various different avenues. So for me, that's a very good feeling to see that that's happening in our country, and it makes me very proud.
Yeah. I had a conversation with somebody yesterday, because on my way to work, I passed through this particular community, and they were making preparations, which I believe were for the back to school giveaway. And I
Hmm.
made the that it is heartwarming that it appears that more and more private citizens and the
Yeah.
corporate community have jumped on board to ensure that our children get back to school with at least some of the basic
Yes.
necessities.
Hmm.
And that, I said to them, that goes a very, very long way. Perhaps some people who are not faced with the challenge of sending their children back to school may not necessarily understand the value of that. And it is good that we live in a place where we're sympathetic and empathetic
Hmm.
toward the needs of others, and that definitely is a proud to be Bahamian moment. I just implore people, if you don't need it, don't go for it, because
Yeah.
there's always somebody who need it. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Need it, don't
Definitely.
go for it. Go and help. You
Yeah.
know?
Go ahead. I
Yeah.
agree. I echo the same sentiments. I mean, just creating the atmosphere of getting the kids, back to school. It's something to be commended. And I hope, as this school year starts, I just pray that it's very productive for all the teachers, the administration, the students that's gonna take advantage of what's happening. But that's proud to be
Well,
Bahamian.
well, and on the flip side of that, the students have an obligation as well to do the best that they can do in school. That is their obligation. That is definitely their obligation to do the best that they can do. It isn't all about getting new stuff, but putting the stuff that you get that's to good
Yeah,
use.
definitely. All
And
right.
on top of that, and very important, the parents have a responsibility that the students do what they're supposed to do and not leave it all to the teacher to
Oh,
cause their children to be smart. Parents have a serious role to play, and not enough of them are taking that role seriously.
true, true, true. Part of the education, a great part of that education begins at home. You go to school really to embellish that, you know what I mean? But a lot of that begins at home, and I think that's an excellent segue into the topic that we're going to discuss today as well. You know.
Yes. So, folks, when we get back, we're going to introduce our guests for this morning. We have another exciting topic for you to listen to, but also be a part of. So, we're going to run to our first break. We'll be right back. You're tuned into Junkanoo 242.
What you hear on this radio station is governed by IRCA's Code of Practice for Content Regulation. The Code of Practice covers matters relating to program content that are of concern to the community, such as local content, news, current affairs, and programs for children, advertising, including political advertisements, and the responsibilities associated with broadcasting in the Bahamas. The code also covers aspects such as access services for the hearing and visually impaired, and the procedure for lodging a complaint about anything broadcast by this station. The code is available on the IRCA website at www.ircabahamas.bs. To receive a copy of the code by mail or in person, you may telephone IRCA at 242-393-0234. Family Island dialing is toll-free at 1-242-300-8722. Or you may send a request by email to info@ircabahamas.bs.
But you see what going down, babe? Them jokers running free. You need to go report what you see.
Me? For them to clip me next?
I ain't saying going to the police directly.
Wait, what you talking about then?
Call Crime Stoppers Bahamas. You can tell them directly what's going down.
Wait, Crime Stoppers is the police, you know?
No, my boy. When you call Crime Stoppers, they just answer your call in Miami or Toronto, Canada. So no one can know it's you. And you don't have to give them no personal information because they just give you a pin.
Wait, what you talking about though?
They got their own system down there to get your information where it need to go. I just saying, if you ain't got nothing to lose, you might as well get these jokers off the street.
True, and so Crime Stoppers is the one that's give you plenty money for that hot news, eh?
Yeah, and if you help the police with the arrest, from pin, you get some balance. So I just saying, win-win, my boy.
So what the number is though? Free up the number.
Do the right thing. Stop the crime before it's your time.
Bing.
Call Crime Stoppers Bahamas today at 328-8477 or from the Family Island, 242-300-8477. It's safe, and the life you save may be your own.
This public service announcement was brought to you by Crime Stoppers in conjunction with the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas.
From the Junkanoo archives on the Junkanoo timeline, the year was 2020. For the first time in 70 years, there were no Junkanoo parades. Another historic moment on the Junkanoo timeline. Good morning, folks. You're tuned in to Junkanoo 242. We're all lined up, and I just thought I would drop that in your spirit just to remind y'all that 2 years ago, y'all ain't had no parade.
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. Okay. All right.
2020, y'all is trying to figure out if we get in the bay or not.
Are we going to bay this year?
Hey, I still hopeful, buddy. Everything is in place. What you mean?
Everything is in place?
Yes, sir.
All right. I guess we shall see.
Yes, we shall see. But our guest has joined us this morning. He is no stranger, of course, to the Junkanoo 242 show. Avid listener to the show and commenter on Facebook. But
you show up at that?
But I am, at least unless somebody else using his name. You
Well, I
know,
don't know. I don't know.
I don't think the baby could use the laptop as yet.
But you may be surprised.
But good morning, we welcome to the show, Mr. Owen Stubbs.
Good morning,
Owen,
good morning.
how you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Can't complain. Tired,
Man,
but I'm good.
all y'all tired this morning, man.
When you got a little one who don't go to sleep, you
Oh,
know exactly what I mean.
Oh, gee.
Well, yeah, I done passed that stage. I passed that stage in my life.
Yes, Bastian, would you do the delights? Go right ahead and let the public know what we're going to be discussing today, please.
Well, this morning, Owen pretty much said it. This morning, we're going to talk about the balance of family life, being a new parent as well, and Junkanoo, because all of those things require some degree of time management. And as a young husband, as a new father, and as I guess we can say a leader, no, I guess we can say as a leader in a Junkanoo group who has tremendous responsibility for that organization. As we talk about preparing to go to Bay Street, we really wanted to get an idea or give our listeners an idea of how important time management is in this whole as we get to as we go on the road to Bay Street. So that's why we figured having Owen here would be a good opportunity for us to discuss that.
Well, Owen, like Arlene would say, let's get started from the beginning. For the people that don't know you, for the people that that just tuning into the show for the first time and have never heard of the guy called Owen, tell us about your Junkanoo background and where you are in Junkanoo today.
Well, I've been in Junkanoo now. This year would make 39 years.
I
start. I started off in the Saxons in '84, and I participated with that group up until 1993, where I left and had a brief stint with one family for 3 years until '96. Went back to the Saxons for a few years, left in 2014, and a group of us formed the group that you know as Genesis Junkanoo Organization, and I've been there ever since. That's basically, in a nutshell, my Junkanoo journey.
What do you exactly do in Junkanoo, Owen? Don't leave out nothing now.
Okay. Well, well, during my journey, I've done a lot of things. Primarily, I've been a bella for most of my Junkanoo career. I've also been involved in costume design, some construction. Currently, I am the marketing director for Genesis Junkanoo Organization, and also let me say, like you said, I don't want to leave out nothing.
Yeah, let's not leave out nothing.
Leave out nothing. Yeah, I just happen to be the son of two Junkanoo legends. Linda Christina Stubbs is my mother, who, in my opinion, probably is the best female bella ever. And I'm also
not being biased, of course.
Not being biased. I'm also the son of Daniel Clarence Stubbs, who was one of the founding fathers of the Saxons. And that's basically it for me. You know, the story, the book is still being written. You know, I still thank God for life. I have time to do some more things. So the jury is still out on that.
So in your mind, Owen, how do you know, from time to time we ask guests to give us their not opinion, but their feeling, I guess it's an opinion, on what Junkanoo is. What is Junkanoo to you?
Junkanoo to me is to for me it's just an artistic expression. It's an opportunity for me to lose myself in the culture, to to express my Bahamianness, if you may, and also to be able to bond and mesh with other like-minded persons when it comes to this area of the culture. Where everyone is basically on even keel, and when we're out there just losing ourselves in the moment and losing ourselves in the whole experience. And basically that's what Junkanoo is to me. Junkanoo can mean a bunch of things to different people, but for Owen, that's what it means.
How do you lose yourself in when you say lose yourself in the moment? For somebody who has never participated in Junkanoo before, what does that mean? And how important is that? Is that the thing that brings you back every year? I don't know.
Well, I'll say it's a part of it. Losing yourself in the moment means that, it's almost like when you're listening to your favorite song on the radio and you're by yourself or you're in the shower. You would tend to move in a certain way because no one's watching. You could really, really express yourself. And that's how I feel about Junkanoo, because, like you would always say, man, people moving like they fool, like, and that's a good thing in that moment. No one watching or worrying about how you walk or how you talk or how you would behave yourself. You just going crazy in the road. And that's accepted during that time. So I mean, when I say lose yourself in the moment, you could actually express yourself and be you, and feel the music, feel the experience, feel the color, feel the costumes, everything. It's magical.
How important is that really? Like, is that connection, I guess, for lack of a better term, how important is that connection? And in your mind, what is the spring? What is the source of that connection?
Well, I would say that the source of the connection to me is just your pride, in understanding who you are, or who you are as a people, and your connection to your people, and your connection to what it is that we do to celebrate life, celebrate freedom, celebrate our ability to express ourselves in our own unique ways. I would say that Junkanoo is so unique, and it just allows people from all different walks of life to come together. No matter if you're a doctor, no matter if you're um, a gardener, no matter if you're a politician or a clergyman or whatever the case may be, everyone comes together, and we're not seen as what we are in our normal lives or our day-to-day lives. We're just seen as Bahamian, and persons lose their mind and having a good time and meshing and, like I said, doing fool.
Listen, so I was out somewhere the other day, right? And I got in a conversation with some clients or whatever. And one of the people who were there said, "You see him here dressed up in this suit and tie, acting like people? When that jungle music start, he ain't nobody. That ain't him." Right? So you had to explain to the client what that meant, because they weren't there, right? Then they explain to them what that transformation meant and what it was all about. So when I heard you make that comment, that meeting came back to mind, because at the end of the day, the connection is most about, I guess, most about our emotions and our feelings, and that is rooted somewhere in our DNA, whether we choose to believe it, or not. In my
Mhm.
opinion, at least. And
Mhm.
so, what are like? I'm sure I mean, I know that you travel a lot, right? But what are in your mind? Where is or what are the unique components of this thing we call Junkanoo? What is the uniqueness of it? What makes it unique in your mind?
What makes it unique in my mind is that it is open to everyone who wants to be a part of it. There's no um how should I say there's no prerequisite, or there's no requirement to be involved in it. And Junkanoo, the uniqueness to me comes in the music. It comes in the costume, the way our costumes are prepared. Um, it's unique in the fact that so many persons share the passion for something that we don't make any money from, for the most part. We do this out of love and passion and pride and love of country. And that within itself to me is it just speaks volumes of us as a people and how unique this thing is to us. You know, that's to me how John Canoe is unique. The costumes, the passion, the preparation, and the journey.
The journey,
Yeah.
like that.
I want to go there for a second in terms of the preparation. You mentioned that you've been a Bella, most of your time in Junkanoo. What is
Yeah.
what is the preparation timeline for Bella in terms of how early in the season do you guys get started?
I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because it varies actually, because um it depends on whether or not your group is in the financial position to get started in the first place. you know, you need materials. It really depends on whether or not you told blows the year before, and so the drive is different. So the drive is different to get started. Where do you get left last year too? So you want to start a little earlier so you make the parade. Um, so there's a lot of factors involved with, well, I mean, what time you start, but usually, um, I know when I was in high school, I would have my pieces of my costume home during the summer, so I could paste
Wow.
during the summer breaks. So that would have been like June, July. But I guess as I got older, Junkanoo started to happen around August, then September, and even in some cases, Junkanoo started in October for me as became busy with other responsibilities. So yeah, I would say on average, Junkanoo would start between August and September.
Okay, and this is okay, and this is you going to the shack.
This is me. This is me now, not dropping by the shack just to hail the guys or see what's going on. This is me now.
Okay.
Every couple of days, every weekend, I in there. And this is the template moving forward until next year.
Okay.
After the
All
New
right.
Year's parade.
Okay. And so my question to you is this is that how important as because we're talking now this pre-marriage, pre-baby, every day.
Well,
How go ahead, Bastian.
before you go there, right? And I wanna make a comment because I don't want all of this to miss it, right? He said a lot of it is determined by the financial position. Fine, we covered that last week, right?
Yes.
But then he also said something else, whether you throw blows last year, or you get blows last year, because your psyche moving into a new season really has a lot to do with that. Because if you throw blows last year, your psyche going and yeah, boy, look here, we coming back to put something else on these dudes, right? But if you get blows show on you, he said, boy, look here, we better be right again, well, So talk about that, and then you can get into your commentary now.
Well, listen, I have been a part of organizations that have won parades time and time again. And I've been a part of organizations that tote blowers time and time again. and I have been fortunate enough to be with an organization at some point that tote blowers for a long time and turned the curve and then start raining blowers on other groups. So, I've had my ups and I've had my downs. And to tell you the truth, anyone who was able to have that type of experience in Junkanoo will tell you, you don't really have a true appreciation for the camaraderie, the bond, the journey, the blood, sweat, and tears that it takes to turn an organization from being laughed at to one that is revered, until you have had those highs and lows.
Yeah, but Owen, in that journey, right? What is the atmosphere in the shack? You even
you mean before the blows or after the blows?
But both, because I mean, let's say you're in like he's talking about the organization that's on this journey, trying to be that champion. What is that? What is the psyche? What is the thought process? What is the talk in the shack to motivate these guys to keep on coming in here, fooling with this cardboard, talking about we can win this year?
I think all right. From what I've experienced, I've had the opportunity to work with persons who have more Junkanoo experience than I have, and persons that have less, and some persons who have been in it just as long as I have, and you have to find a way for everyone to come together, no matter the gap in experience, to have one cohesive mindset or one goal as I'm going into the Junkanoo season. And you would find that the more senior persons who have been there before are much more resilient, because they know that the lows only can last so long if you keep working hard at it. Then you have the persons the newbies who are totally discouraged and like, man, we can never win. So you got to keep encouraging them. Then you got to go back and show them, hey, look at it. We got fifth, or we got thanks for coming. And I was I was just your age. And look at me now. And you have to keep reinforcing and keep trying to explain to them that, look, if you keep pushing, you keep doing the work, you keep following the examples that we're trying to set for you, then we can be successful. It's not a sprint. It's not a sprint.
And that in itself, is a lesson in perseverance, and is also a lesson in excellence, because once you put in the work and you do it well, then you keep using this word and it applies well. The journey is more worthwhile. Rather than coming in at the top, staying at the top, and not knowing necessarily what the real struggle to get there was. That's a big difference.
Yes.
Well, folks, we're gonna run to our first break. When we get back from the break, we're gonna dive in more into time management, balancing all of this euphoria y'all let's go crazy for in the streets called Junkanoo. We'll be right back. You're tuning into Junkanoo 242.
The Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, in conjunction with the National Emergency Agency, presents the 2022 official hurricane shelters for the islands of the Bahamas. Andros Central District, Bowen Sound Pentecostal Church, Bowen Sound, Church of God, Cargill Creek, Highway Church of God, Blanket Sound. Miracle Revival International, Calabash Bay. Mount Ethel Baptist, Love Hill. Mount Sinai Baptist Church, Calabash Bay. St. Bartholomew's Anglican Church, Bearing Point. Stafford Creek Primary School, Stafford Creek. Andros, Mangrove Key District. Burnt Rock Primary, Burnt Rock. Mangrove Key High School, Swains, Mangrove Key. St. Peter's Baptist Church, Little Harbor, Mangrove Key. Andros North District, B.A. Newton Primary School, Red Bays. Bartad Building, Bark Community. Clara Evans Primary School, Nicholstown. Ebenezer Baptist Church, South Mastic Point. First Baptist Church, San Andros. Andros South District. Deep Creek Primary School, Deep Creek. Friendship Baptist Church, The Bluff. Long Bay's Key Preschool, Long Bay. Mount Olive Baptist Church, Smiths Hill. St. Paul's Baptist Church, Black Point. The Doctor's Residence Special Needs Clinic, The Bluff.
From the Junkanoo Time archives on the Junkanoo timeline, the year was 1849. That year, the Nassau Guardian reported that Junkanoo appeared on stilts, another significant notch on the Junkanoo timeline.
Welcome back, folks. Before we ran to the break, we were talking to Owen. Today, our topic is just something simple. We're talking, but it ain't really that simple. It's balancing Junkanoo, you know, in everything you do in your life. And we started to talk about preparation in the shack, being on the upside, being on the downside of winning parades, losing parades, but also having to get back into the shack and prepare for the upcoming parades, the psyche, you know, in your mind behind that. My question to you as a bella, as a participant, what, like the time management, you know, you're working, you know, you have a social life, or what you think is a social life, because that probably dwindles to nothing.
You have a what?
Yeah, what is the time management, you know, once you start this preparation? And from, you know, from your experience, how important is it?
Well, I'll tell you, I had no say in whether or not I would be involved in Junkanoo. I came into Junkanoo at the tender age of 2 to 2 parents who were just as crazy as I am about Junkanoo. And Junkanoo is a part of who I am, or has become a part of who I am as a person. So I don't know any other way. I've not lived any other way. I can't imagine my life without Junkanoo. I don't know who I would be. I don't know what type of person I would be, but Junkanoo plays a major part in who I am and my development. Now, that whole preparation and getting my mind right to enter a Junkanoo season and trying to make sure all my ducks in a row as far as life and responsibilities are concerned. Trust me, it has been it has been challenging. I'll tell you, it has been a very challenging experience because, you know, being a transitioning from a single person to a married person while being so heavily involved in Junkanoo, sometimes your focus has to shift, and you're being told by persons what is more Uh, what is more important? I'll tell you, you love your family, but let me tell you something. When Junkanoo starts to take over at a certain time of the year, trust me, the struggle is real. You understand? Because when
there is no other struggle, eh?
Trust me, as you immerse yourself in your costume and in the preparation and what it is that your group is doing, boy, sometimes I could see you leave the wife or at work because you're supposed to pick her up. You leave the baby in the tub and you forget because someone called you because they want to find out what's happening with the papers. It's a and like I said, it's a journey within itself. It's unique. It's funny at times. Sometimes it's stressful when you want to go to the shack and you can't because you have other things that are more important. Yeah, and.
So let's unpack this, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna hit this from two different perspectives. Let's first of all talk about the challenge of being a Junkanoo, heavily involved in Junkanoo, and being married. Then after that, we can talk about the challenge of being a Junkanoo, then being married and and being in the process of having a young baby. And then we're going to talk about the challenge of being a Junkanoo married with a young baby and how that has all developed and how what it looks like on the other side of all of that.
Oh, yeah, tell you.
So let's start with the marriage part first.
You want to start with the marriage part first? Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you.
Without the baby.
I met my wife and I went to primary school together. I knew all of her friends, but I didn't know her for some odd reason. That it is such a weird story because we both played the violin and we went to Uriah Maffei Primary. Okay. And I was heavily involved in Junkanoo from that point. A lot of her friends that were in her class were involved in the Junkanoo group with me, but I didn't know her from a can of paint. It's almost like there was some divine intervention, like God kept her away from me and out of my sight until a certain point in time in my life.
Right.
We reunited, and I guess the whole experience of our primary school time and what it is that we did while at that point in our lives was something for us to talk about, and what it is, it became what we had in common. And we built upon that, and she realized that I was heavily involved in Junkanoo. And early on, it was sweet, I taught her how to pace, and she seemed so excited about Junkanoo. And, it was bliss until a couple of years down the road, then we realized, hey, nah, this thing is taking up too much time. And then she hated Junkanoo after a while because of the amount of time that I spent in the shack and doing certain things. But the woman still married me. I don't know if her head was any good, but I would have thought that, when she decided to marry me, being so heavily involved in Junkanoo, that she would have been prepared for the journey. She was a trooper. She helped me plenty. She battled a lot with me, and then after a while, she said, "You know what? This really ain't making no sense, man." But I guess I can stick with you. I know you love it, and I know this was there before me, but y'all had it, good. I can't deal with this.
She gets swing, man. She gets swing.
Yeah. Yeah, but she tolerates it. She's a trooper. She's there to support when it is that I find myself in crunch time or under a lot of stress. But in the early part of the season, yeah, she ain't on my run. You go do what you have to do. I get in this way. No, but she has been very supportive. And now that the baby is here, this actually is my first season. This is my first season with the little one being in the mix. I think the pandemic itself has given me an opportunity to kind of get my feet wet as a father and trying to figure things out, and I had the opportunity to set a plan in motion as to how I could manage family time and shack time and my commitments in the group. And I guess we'll see how it goes. We're in August now, about to be September. The season is about to intensify for me and a lot of others. And I guess we'll see how it goes, but I'm prepared for it,
What has been the most challenging thing so far, though?
But in
terms of your preparation, because we started to talk about the preparation as for you as a Bella, right? But what has been with all of those things now, and like you said, in particular, this year being the first year with the little one, how has that changed your preparation for the big dance, so to speak?
I'll tell you, first off the bat, my preparation for this season is different in that I'm not as heavily involved in my personal costume as I normally would have been. I've been trained to be a stickler for detail and pasting and preparing my costume a certain way. And that has been a blessing and a curse for me over the course of my Junkanoo career, because for some odd reason, as an artist, you become so anal about certain things about your costume and the way you want it done. Like, there's no one who can do it quite like you. So, time management becomes your biggest problem, because you want everything to be done perfect. Because in the back of my mind, I always treat my costume like this. I'm so grateful and so thankful for life. And during the course of every Junkanoo year, we bury friends and we lose persons that have been with us during the journey. And that gives you a different perspective, because you're like, you don't even know if you're going to be here next year.
True.
You know what I mean? So whatever I'm putting on the road now, or whatever I'm going into the Junkanoo season doing, this could very well be my last opportunity to make it count. So, and that really resonated with me throughout the 2017, 2018 Junkanoo season, when I lost my grandmother. When persons that close to you are gone, and they were persons who encouraged you or loved what it is that you do, it was like, man, I don't know what position I would be in or whether I'll be here next year. So every year you try to make it count. Wow. Every year. Yeah, and that's my approach. And sometimes you hit your mark, sometimes you don't. But every year you try to improve, you try to get an earlier start, you try to do things a little differently. Like this year, for the first time in a long time, I've actually had no involvement in my personal costume to this point. I've contracted things out to be done, to take it to the point where I could enhance the costume and decorate it, because life, has gotten in the way or in between me and my costume. And I actually have no problem with it. It's in good hands or what have you, but my journey going into this Junkanoo season is quite different.
Boy, Darren Farrington, that means Genesis done stop.
Long time.
That means Genesis done stop. Long time.
We did a couple of little things.
Yeah. Hey, Darren, that means the bell is done out.
Yeah, we did a couple of things. We trying to make some stuff happen. You only could go so far.
Yeah.
When the funds low, because trust me, this pandemic, this is something else.
Yeah,
I might as well tell you, this is a battle right now, and the survival of the fittest. True. So we trying to make some things happen.
So, and then you always ask, but not always. Now you ask yourself, what will Junkanoo look like on the other side of the pandemic? What does that mean to groups and sponsorship, and how we prepare for, and then afterwards, what do we do? So I think this year is going to be a very interesting year for Junkanoo and in Junkanoo. What are your feelings on that?
I'll tell you, in my group, we've had somewhat of a reality check after the pandemic. We've had we lost one or two members, and we've had persons that that were able to do or perform certain tasks in the group who are unable to perform those tasks now because their circumstance in life has changed with job loss and a myriad of other unfortunate situations. And we have come to the point where Junkanoo is not about trying to win. I mean, we want to win, we put our best foot forward, but that's not really important to us anymore. It's about giving persons an outlet to like I said, to express themselves in the culture, to develop the youth, train them how to do this thing so that it survives. It's about training for the most part. It's about training. It's about it's about creating bonds with the persons around you who come together to make this thing happen. And I just told our vice chairman the other day, I said, you know what? We have to now approach this thing as if, we are all we have, and we have to create an environment where our members could feel comfortable and they could feel like they're really a part of something that's bigger than themselves and not necessarily a competition. Because trust me, like, as of late, we had some real weird things happening in Junkanoo as far as rules and regulations and all the other things, and the stress of having to deal with how this thing shifts on you at an instant. If you pay attention to those things and the bureaucracy, sometimes you will find that would totally stress you out. It takes you away from the enjoyment of the experience altogether. And that's what we do not want to have happen in our organization. So even if we got to get to the point where we kind of seclude ourselves from that element of what we have to deal with constantly in Junkanoo, then I think that's the route that we are to take, because at the end of the day, it's about the people. It's not about the wins. It's about the people. It's about the perpetuation of the experience, the culture, the art form, and that's what's most important. And I think when you get us to a certain stage in your life, and you get to a certain stage in Junkanoo where you have done it all, certain things just ain't as important as they used to be anymore.
Right.
Oh, that's very powerful. How do we cause that to spread across the board throughout the community?
Well, I think it has to come from the persons who are in charge, who actually steer these groups. I think the dissension comes where you have leaders of groups where winning a parade is the be all and end all of what it is that they're dealing with, and they do not care about anything other than winning the parade.
And that is the danger.
That is the danger. That is the danger.
Ronald, that's not the danger, that's the detriment, because in their quest to win the parade, they would even destroy what they're competing in just to say they win.
And then when you win and you have the trophy sitting on your shelf catching dust, and your group falling apart because persons aren't learning, persons aren't going through the journey, they're not appreciating the experience, then what the trophy there for?
The moment is lost.
and you are absolutely right, Owen. You said something that I think I don't want us to miss, right? You said we are all we have. You keep using this word journey, right? We are all we have on this journey. And it's important that we understand the value of our humanness and the connection that we have while we are on this journey. You also said that, and it is true, over the pandemic, so many situations, so many circumstances have changed. So many people who started the journey before the pandemic are not with us today. Some people may not be with us tomorrow, right? And you made another point about your costume and valuing the moment. This may be the last, like you said, this may be the last time I have an opportunity to put that costume, put this costume on and perform it in a way that brings glory to him, and that is the part of Junkanoo that I think so many of us tend to miss or throw to the side, because it's more about Junkanoo for me is more about people than it is about anything else. And that's why that connection is so strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, but when you're young and you're winning and you're hot, you take it for granted. You take it for granted, man. Until the reality hits you, and you realize that certain people who were there on the journey with you are no longer there.
Yeah.
But the question is, should we wait until they mature to that level where they begin to understand it on their own, or should we be causing and encouraging them to appreciate it at the younger stage?
You have to do it now. It's the responsibility of the persons who have been through it and the persons who have had those experiences and bucked their toe and had the victories and the defeats to actually share that experience and share what's most important based on their experience with the younger people. Because if we don't do that effectively, then we have failed them.
But those of us who have come to that point of maturity and are at an age now have the tendency to say that the young people don't listen. Are we sending the message sufficiently strong enough to cause them to listen? Are we taking the time to sit down and explain to them why it is important, why they ought to listen and look at it from a different perspective?
I'll tell you, Mr. Sims, when you have an organization, let's say quote unquote, like a Valley Boys, like a Saxons or whatever the case may be, who have been in Junkanoo from basically the inception of this organized thing, you would have persons who would go into those organizations with a perception of how they operate and how they do things, and they conform. I think it has everything to do with the strength and the unity of your leadership and the resolve that you guys have as a unit to affect the change in your members who come into your organization. Like they say, while in Rome, do as the Romans do. If you are strong enough in what it is that you have come to do and your position, and it's unwavering, then persons who want to be involved in your organization have no choice but to follow your example. Or you will definitely feel like an outsider, like you don't belong there, because the focus of the organization, the focus of the head of the organization is in a certain direction, and you're not. So I guess that's how it's weeded out. But once that organization is headed in a positive direction, doing positive things, and the rewards are coming in, whether it be fast or slow, and people see the value in it, then they're gonna change their lives, or they're gonna want to emulate what it is that they view as a successful group. So I mean, that's all we can hope for. But I think it's the responsibilities of your leadership to steer the ship.
And I think what Ronald is getting to as well, is that maybe, and you said it, Owen, maybe the conversation is off. Maybe the direction is off. Maybe the focus is off. Because the first thing we talk about, we quote unquote, we talk about is, we going to win, right? And at what cost are we going to win, and what are we winning at? Right? Are we winning? Is our goal fundamentally to go and win a prize, a trophy, like you said, that catches dust? or is our goal, to win in a way where we positively impact the people that we parade with or that we do Junkanoo with? And you ask yourself, what is the greatest story? What is the greatest story here? And I keep going back to this whole thing with the pandemic because so many of us, like you said, are not here, and what have we done to ensure that they won in their lives? You understand? What have we done? And we sit in a place where we have this platform to impact so many people. What is the value of our impact?
But you know what? I'm beginning to get the impression that this platform, that these little chats we have concerning this situation every week is beginning to make an inroad, you know.
You think so, Ronald?
Yes, I'm beginning to see that. Yeah.
I have to say something before we leave this point. Ronald and Owen and Bastian, you're onto it. And it goes back to, you talk about going into an organization and conforming and doing what they're doing. It's two words I want to point out there is one, their standards. And we always talk about it. What is your group's philosophy? Your philosophy is your standard. Here's what we do, here's what we don't do. Those standards also transcend and they become the culture of the
organization.
You understand? And once a group establishes itself and it creates those standards and that becomes its culture, it's very difficult to erode that culture. You understand? You may have to come back and direct it a particular way and tighten it up. But one of the things you realize is that the culture it has a common goal that's bigger than winning. All right. A lot of the organizations who we know are established, yes, they want to win. Yes, they are competitive. But when you break down their culture, they pay attention to detail. They pay attention to neatness. They pay attention to all of these little fine things that when, even if they lose the parade, they may lose the parade by the judges' standard. But now they're able to evaluate themselves by their standards. You see what I'm saying? And that transcends what happens on Bay Street. So that's what I'd have to say on that topic. And I think a lot of groups need to, look at what is our standards, what is our guiding point and our compass. What are we willing to uphold? You understand? As we celebrate ourselves out there on a parade. And guess what? Those things we're gonna do so excellently, we're gonna win.
Yeah.
Just before we go to the break, and we need to go to the break, let me say this to Owen, and you and Darren don't mind Owen, but he ain't touching on his costume. His abilities he spent his time that he should have been doing on his costume, fine tuning the day on Junkanoo Summer Festival. So don't mind him.
Boy, Ronald, you got it, Ronald. You got it, Ronald.
Congratulations. Yeah, I want you. I hear you talking fool, but no costume. So we go to the break.
Find it.
The Ministry of Social Services and Urban Development, in conjunction with the National Emergency Agency, presents the 2022 official hurricane shelters for the islands of the Bahamas. Grand Bahama, Bethany Baptist Church, Hannah Hill, 8 Mile Rock, Bethel Baptist Church, Pinedale, Bethel Deliverance Center, Jonestown, 8 Mile Rock, Bishop Michael Eldon School Auditorium, East Beachway Drive, Freeport, Calvary Temple, Small Chapel, Clive Avenue, Freeport, Central Zion Baptist Church, 8 Mile Rock, Church of God of Prophecy, Pinedale. Church of Ascension, Arden Forest Road, Freeport. Community Holiness Church, Martintown. 8 Mile Rock Gymnasium, 8 Mile Rock. 8 Mile Rock High School, 8 Mile Rock. First Baptist Church, Columbus Drive, Freeport. Foster B. Pestina Hall, Christ the King Special Needs Shelter, East Atlantic Drive, Freeport. Maurice Moore Primary School, Sandcombe Drive, Arden Forest, Freeport. Mount Calvary Baptist Educational Building, Seagrape. New Olivet Baptist Church, Holmes's Rock. St. George's Gymnasium, Sunset Highway, Freeport. Shiloh Seventh Day Adventist Church, Sandcombe Drive, Freeport.
Examples of excellence. In 2003, the Junkanoo Development Association introduced the Independence Junkanoo Achievement Award. The first honorees were former Junkanoo group leaders John Chipman and Walt Sachs Taylor. Bahamian cowbella inventor Donzel Hyler, surviving members of the Citizens Masquerade Committee, Alfred Fountain and Reverend Prince Hepburn, and the matriarch of women in modern-day Junkanoo, Maureen Devalier. This distinguished group was followed each year by outstanding Junkanoos, whose contribution to Junkanoo have guided and shaped the course of modern-day Junkanoo, and that fine tradition continued right up to this year. We salute the more than 100 Bahamians who have received the Independence Junkanoo Achievement Award. This week, inductees into the Junkanoo 242 Shack of Excellence.
Wow, 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 wow. On the other side of the break, we started to talk about more about the love in Junkanoo and the respect with Junkanoo than anything else. And I'm going to just say this particularly to Ronald, all right? And we keep talking about it from time to time, Ronald. And I believe it's so important that every year we look forward to it. And it's a group of people who get together in between the parades. Somebody makes their house available. And we're there in between laps and after the parade, right? For hours and hours and hours. And it's a mix of people from all Junkanoo groups, right? And to me, that is at this point in my life, that is one of the things that I look forward to when it comes to going to Bay Street. You know what I mean, Ronald?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm with you on that. I like you find more joy in that nowadays than going on the parade route.
Exactly, right?
And perhaps we have to introduce these two youngsters here to that kind of
fellowship.
of a thing.
Yeah.
and it is through avenues like that we may begin to get this message across that, Bella, it ain't about going out there and winning. It is about camaraderie. Is about what happens tomorrow to you as a person and to us as a country.
I want to chime in on that. And this might be a shameless plug, but I think I would have to say this anyway. Like I said, for me, for my group, for what it is that we're trying to do, our focus is slightly different. But in the heart of hearts, I'm not gonna to come out and call the name of any group in particular or try to insinuate that groups aren't necessarily doing or making these kind of moves in their organizations. But I kind of feel like it is the responsibility of groups that have been here a long time, have have had a certain level of success and notoriety within the Junkanoo community, who has that influence on the younger people to kind of lead the charge with regards to changing the mindset. Because you have a lot of younger persons who would gravitate to these organizations primarily because they are winning organizations, or, you know what I mean, or been winning parades. And whatever it is that they have going on in their groups, whatever programs they have in place, those young people are very, very influenced. We can't leave it up to the scrap groups, the B groups, or the small community groups who tend to have a more thought out program in place with dealing with mentoring young people in the country.
I
could influence the change in Junkanoo. We can't say I've had a conversation with some guys from an established group that said to me point blank, "Hey, we come here to win parades, bro. If you want to do community work and deal with the children and groom and whatnot, but you'll go join Kiwanis or something like that." I'm like, what?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And you and I looked at you as one of the persons to help us to change the mindset of the younger people. And if that's the run you on, then I said, we in trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble.
Yeah.
Big trouble.
Unfortunately, that is some of the attitudes we have to deal with. But I certainly support the point that those groups who have the wherewithal to influence ought to use their influence for the positive good. There's no doubt about that. You know,
definitely.
And we're going to have some of those at the upper echelon, and some of those groups will be of a different mindset, but never mind them. They will be in the minority. You know, once the leadership as a core group take the responsibility to move it forward. So
very soon.
I make the analogy of this saying that if the country was to go to war and we all stay inside our homes and not go out and defend the country, eventually all of us will be demised because nobody want to take the stand and go into defend. And that is exactly what's happening a lot in a lot of organizations. Everybody's worrying about their organization while Junkanoo as a whole is under attack.
Yes.
And it will be to your detriment to only want to quote unquote to secure your organization. But what are you going to secure it for? What are you going to be competing in if the whole industry, if the whole thing as we know it is gone? You know, and that's what a lot of people need to take note of.
And I think we need to appreciate that Junkanoo as a collective is perhaps the largest social grouping in this country. And they can spark so many things if they would use the power of the collective, man.
Yeah, we have to become bigger than the banners that we rush behind. You understand? It's bigger than that. It's good to be competitive, yes, and you want to do that in its own right. But at the same time, you should look at moving the whole Junkanoo industry, the whole arena to a level where we can say, you know what? When you're part of this, there's a standard, there's a uniqueness, there's a creative, there's a an excellence that goes along with it. Not just, oh, we out here to win.
How did we get here? How did we get to a point where we are having this discussion about what we should be more about and less of? How did we get to this point?
But in this conversation?
Well, not in
generally,
like we're talking about using Junkanoo as a force or as an instrument, as a tool to build better people. How did we, not in this conversation specifically, but how did we get to this point in Junkanoo? Why this conversation is so relevant and has to happen? How did we get to the point where it was only about going to war, beating these dudes, winning? go home, and do it all over again. How did we get to that point?
I can say
This point.
we got to this point because of the influence that Junkanoo has on the community and the persons in the community. Here, case in point, you have persons who, like I said, doctors, lawyers, bus boys, secretaries, guys who ain't working. You would find that you would have people who are troubled in this community, who have issues and struggles, would still find their way in the shack to participate in Junkanoo because we all share that common love for it. And because this is a melting pot, and because so many people have a passion for it, from different walks of life, this Junkanoo is a forum or gives us the forum or the opportunity to reach out and touch so many people one time because they're there. You know, if I have a different walk in my life, some of these people I would never see or never even come in contact with if it hadn't been for Junkanoo. So right now I think we're having that conversation because some of the people who have these challenges, we get to see them at a certain point of the year almost every day.
I'll take it a step further though. I would say how we got to that point along with what he's saying is that one of the weaknesses that we have as a country, and we see it trickle down, is that we don't properly define things. And I'll tell you where I'm going with this. We don't properly define things. Right now, what is Bahamian culture? What is Bahamian food? All of these things we have no whole definition for. And those things are supposed to be your guiding posts. How did we get here is that we have had a cultural phenomenon that has taken on an identity to be known as the heartbeat of Bahamians. And organizations have formed, but what they have not done is that they have not properly defined their standards, what they stand for. Somebody you made the point about doing outreach and stuff. If you go to those other organizations, if you go to Kiwanis, you know what Kiwanis is about. You know, you go to Toastmasters, you know what Toastmasters is about. You go to Rotary, you know what Rotary is about. Where are the Junkanoo organizations saying, here's what we stand for? This is our standards. This is our philosophy before the competition. You understand? If you go to the Bahamas, to the brass band, they have their standards as to what they stand for. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, all of these people have their standards as to what governs them. And everything they do from that standpoint as what governs them, because it's defined, now they know how to act. It governs how to act. So guess what? If you're coming to be a part of this organization, regardless of where you come from, regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of where you are on the financial totem pole, here's how we govern ourselves here. And when organizations, until organizations start to do that and also implement it, we're gonna continuously having this conversation, in my opinion.
Big man, I come to win, boss.
Okay.
I ain't interested in you, your philosophy, none of that. I come to win, boss.
And guess what? I always say this in making an example where that is, and I agree. And if that's your standard and you allow it, that's what you do. I always tell people this. People know just how to act. And my point is, when you are invited to Government House and you're supposed to be there for 2 o'clock, you don't show up 2 o'clock. You know why? Because they will be closing those doors at 2 o'clock. So you show up before. If your organization has the exact same standard in all different aspects and is defined, people will do two things: live up to the standard, or they will leave.
Yeah.
Big man, I only come to win, boss. And if you don't, if you all don't win this season, I can't cross the way, boss.
We don't even know if we want you. You may not be able to withhold our standards, and that's
Big
the
man.
thing.
Big man, I is the best brass blower, the best trumpet blower, the best drummer, the best beller. You need me, boss. You need me.
That's the answer to your question, where I think, along with what Owen said, how we got to this point right now.
Exactly.
Where's the definitions? What is a Junkanoo costume? What is the components of the unique components of Junkanoo? Where is it defined? So how could you tell somebody that ain't Junkanoo or just ain't Junkanoo? What makes our festival unique from anything else in the world? Where is it defined? On a national level, on the individual level. We don't have these definitions, and we need to start put them in place so we have a guiding post, as to at least have a debate about it, to at least say, well, this is the measuring stick or not. What is Junkanoo color? What is Junkanoo design? Does Junkanoo choreography have a particular dance, a particular set of cadences that is only unique to us in Junkanoo? Where's the definitions?
So can we stop the hemorrhage, Darren?
Yes, we can.
I think the conversation starts with us. Not the conversation. The action has to start with us. And I think, and Farrington is right. I think he's spot on. Because if the older people, I shouldn't say older, the experienced Junkanoos, who know what it should be, if we don't set that standard, if we don't show how we should live, if we don't show how we should create, if we don't show how we should act, then the younger, less experienced Junkanoos will do it for us. And we will then say, see, we don't do that. That ain't Junkanoo. That ain't Junkanoo. That ain't Junkanoo.
You never say what it is.
And then they will say, this Junkanoo, boss. This Junkanoo. Don't tell me this Junkanoo. So there you have it. But the standard, Darren is right. The standard has to be set, and it has to be non-negotiable.
Folks, we're going to run to a quick break. Conversation is heating up. Quick. When we get back, you will hear the rest of Junkanoo 242. We'll be right back. Okay. Oh.
It's back to school time. And do you want to get your message out to the widest possible audience? Well, now is the time to book your ads on the big station. Benefit from the thousands of listeners on the ZNS network. Let the people know where to get their school uniforms, supplies, snacks, and a whole lot more. What are you waiting on? Book your back to school ads now on Radio Bahamas. Call our marketing and sales department at 502-3800 for our rates and packages. It's back to school time.
And now for news off the Shack Wall. Man, just like that, the show almost over. We would like to extend happy birthday greetings to the one Silbert Maxwell Ferguson.
Yes, I'm beginning to see that.
Silbert is celebrating his birthday today. I know that's probably why Alain can't make it to the show. Because they somewhere celebrating, Bastian. Happy birthday greetings to Silbert Ferguson and everybody else who's celebrating in the upcoming week.
Happy birthday
to you. We want to say special condolences to anybody who's lost a loved one, funeralizing people. You know, our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers are with you during this time. Yes, it is back to school weekend. The teachers have already been back from Monday. Everybody's getting their classroom ready. I know everybody is collecting those last minute little trinkets that they need to send the kiddies and prepare them for back to school. As you're out on the streets today, the rain is coming down. Be careful. Be aware of the things that are happening around you. Just slow down just a little bit as what's happening. You can also check out our YouTube channel for Junkanoo 242. You see all the episodes, all of the street parades that we have recorded. You can go and check us out. The same name, Junkanoo 242 on YouTube. And guess what? We are because it is August 27, 2022. We are 26 hopeful weeks away from Bay, Bastian. You hear that?
26?
26.
Owen them done finished. And I ain't started yet. You know, I don't. Well, you got me nervous now. You got me nervous now, Ferg, and I don't know.
It ain't how you start, man. It's how you finish.
Now you finish it. All right.
I can tell you again, don't let Owen throw you off guard, but he ain't touch costume yet. Yeah, don't mind that. That's a new talk.
We know better than that, right? Right? We know better than that, right, sir?
That's right.
My Lord.
My gosh, my gosh. But before we left, we were talking about, how did we get here in the conversation? Some of the things. Toronto Sims asked, can we stop the hemorrhaging? Can we stop some of these things that are happening, that we're seeing? Because a lot of us take notes for things and or we observe certain things that are declining, and a lot of us say, oh, we too busy, I don't have the time to deal with this, and we see things happening. Well, who's going to do it? Who's going to speak up on some things? Ronald also mentioned that he realized that the conversation that we're having on this show is starting to make some inroads, and I tell a lot of people that have a conversation with people, because it is not your job to change their mind. But I feel through the conversation, you can spark a thought or even a perspective for them to look at something that you guys are discussing from a different perspective. And that now causes their minds to stretch and how you deal with different things. So keep on having the conversation, and not only have the conversation, some of us need to step up. We need to step up and we need to do some things. When it comes to a lot of people, we complain about things not going right, but we did not teach the people who are not doing the things right. You know what I mean? So just step up and do some more things. But Owen, we're coming down to our final minutes. We didn't know Genesis almost finished. You ain't need to tell us that. Cool, fine. What do you have to say to the Junkanoo public for this upcoming season? What are your closing remarks?
For this upcoming season, I would hope that everyone would take a minute to do some introspection and understand what it is that you're doing it for, and take a minute to understand the responsibility that you have, not only for the parade or going into the parade, but as an ambassador for the culture and the art form. I would say that we have to, as Junkanooers, demand more of the various groups that we're a part of in terms of having a greater impact socially within our communities. We have to demand more of our members in terms of being responsible citizens in this country, and also to share the word, share the message of peace, unity, camaraderie, and because at the end of the day, it's all about the quality of life for everyone. And being able to coexist in a space where we can express ourselves and experience the beauty of what Junkanoo actually helps us to bring to the table. Yeah. I don't want to take too much time, but I just want to be able to plug this, because it was on my chest. I have had the opportunity to be a part of the Marina Village Junkanoo troupe that was under the direction of Mr. Stan Burnside and my mentor, Mr. Ed McPhee. And being a part of that organization, I've had the unique opportunity to have conversations with persons who have been there before me, and persons and to try to understand Junkanoo and the dynamics of training persons and being good mentors to persons from those guys. And I was able to take some of what I've learned from them and then and apply it to what it is that I disseminate to the younger people of my group. And I did, and that opportunity was so unique because I'm not in a Junkanoo, formal Junkanoo organization with these people. And so these little small groupings of persons who come from different organizations or whatnot, when we sit down and we share these experiences, when we share the message and we share what's important, we then take this to the wider Junkanoo community.
Correct.
I'm no longer with the Marina Village Junkanoo troop. I've expanded, and now I have my own troop, Elite Cultural Entertainment, and the same thing is happening now with the next generation of leaders who are actually within my age bracket. And so we got Bali, Saxon, Roots, everybody inside there, and we have our conversations, and we have an opportunity to talk about what's important, and we establish certain standards of how we want to be represented in the Junkanoo community, how we want to be seen, and we take that information and we go back to our various groups, and that's how it spreads. You understand? If you can't make it happen in your own group because you have persons who are fighting you down, then you infect other groupings of persons where we come together, and that's how you infiltrate it. Because trust me, you have some groups and some leaders or some persons who don't care about the message. They don't care about the bigger picture. They care about winning parades. And right now, if we don't change the way we do business in this country with regards to how we train our people, how we prepare them for the future, in Junkanoo, we could be in trouble because we're employing old tactics and old ways to new problems. You're not going to solve anything by just taking this, but let's go kill them, let's go destroy them, let's go to peace. That's all it's going to be. And that's all it would ever be if we continue on this track. So, everyone has to do their part. And I just feel as though we just need to shift our focus just a little bit. We don't necessarily have to start Junkanoo in August or July. We can start Junkanoo in January, and we can start making some inroads and some community work as a unit in this country, as a collective Junkanoo body, to try to change the lives of these people, as opposed to just leaning on them heavily to do costumes and go to practice and make noise and win parades.
Folks, you've heard it here.
I couldn't have said any better than that. Well said.
Folks, you're tuned into Junkanoo 242. It's the end of our show. Junkanoo 242, where it's all about us and you in the 242. Until we meet again next Saturday, let everything we do show that we are all proud
to be Bahamian.
We'll see you next week.